Hey, my name is Siri Midden, so I am originally from Norway and I have some Sami background, so that is the indigenous peoples in the Arctic region of Norway. But as you said, Karen, we go back a long way, so of course I worked for nearly 30 years in the UK, mostly in Wales in fact, and that was also a very interesting connection for me because I live with a Welsh-speaking actor, so I learnt Welsh, which of course is the oldest language in Europe. So I have a particular interest in, I suppose, cross-collaborations and workings, particularly with minority people and indigenous languages and minority languages. I'm talking mostly Europe. I've never actually been this far, so this is a totally new experience for me. I took on the job, I left the UK, sadly, in the background of the awful Brexit situation, because I am a Norwegian national with a Norwegian passport, and I was, concerned about the future, and so there is sadly a huge exodus of fellow professionals in the dance world that I see actually returning from a very rich career in the UK to their respective countries and now using that experience as I am to program or to dance or to make work. So I am now, as of last year, running the world's, as far as I know, the world's northernmost dance festival at Dance Festival Barents, which takes place in Hammerfest, which is the world's northernmost city, on 70 degrees north. And I've so far run one festival this November, and I'm busy planning my next festival, which takes place from the 6th till the 10th of November in Hammerfest 2019. The reason we do the festival in the second week of November is that is when the Arctic region officially enters into the dark months.
Oh good, you've just come back because you've been a sort of the static. So you're moving again, which is fantastic.
I've just got to move
So just for everybody here, what's quite interesting, because obviously I've come from an organisation where I was there for 25 years, and what's really interesting about this festival is the directors kind of change every 2 years, I think it is. So this is your first time, you've come in 17, 18. What have been the challenges then so far? Because it is quite a quick turnaround.
Yeah, it's they do like a 3-year turnaround, Karen, and they kind of do that, I think, in line with the Arts Council funding, so that when you come in as a new director, you've got 1 year of funding secured, so that means you don't have to kind of hop on it and write a huge funding application in your first year. You get time, you have a handover, and you get time to get a feel for the festival and what you want to do with it. So I've now just submitted a 3-year Arts Council funding application. If they like what I'm doing, then they may offer me to stay on. That has happened in the past, but they do a minimum of a 3-year rotation. And the challenge for me, I suppose, is thinking about the long-term sustainability of the organisation, as so many organisations that I'm sure everyone's familiar with, is that it's a very slimline operation. There's only me that is actually employed by the organisation, and everything else has to happen on a project basis. That proves to be more challenging when you're in a region where there are vast geographical distances, and there may not be so many professionals permanently around. So the biggest challenge I'm finding is actually the geography, the travel, the expense of the travel. In the Arctic region of Norway, it's actually very similar to Australia, I find, is that you can't really get anywhere quickly without a plane. So you're flying everyone in and out, and I kind of have some thoughts around that and what that means. So I'm working with partners to look at one of the table talks that I'm going to lead here at Dance Massive is actually around how to find more sustainable touring models, for example.
And when we last spoke, which was about a year ago, we were looking to try to put a project together, and you were describing some of the work that's been happening there, especially with mature artists, and I wondered if you could just tell us a little bit more about that. Has that moved on at all? Especially in the context that we're working here at Bold, where we're kind of really looking at the older dancer and legacy.
Absolutely, Karen. That's such an exciting theme that I'm burning for myself. Now that I am an older dancer myself, I'm very, very interested in talking about sustainability. Actually, it's talking about the sustainability in the bigger sense, and that very much for me includes the discussion we have around older dancers and legacy, and how we take care of people when they've had a long career. So this festival was actually started